Wausau Area Access Media returns for the Wisconsin High School State Curling Championship here at the Wausau Curling Club. I'm George Hirsch. We'll do the commentary. Chris Berg is the person behind the scenes that has set this up, the planning, the cameras, the video, you name it, all the technical aspects of it. Our first game that we're going to cover out of 6 this weekend from the curling club is Lodi and Wausau East. And right now, they are in a situation where the skip for Wausau East has just given the instructions. We'll pick you up on a lot of information as we go along here. Pretty much everything that we've had, we haven't been here for a couple of years, is back, but not the sound on the ice. And that's a big part of curling, of course, but we don't have that. We do have some spectators below us in the bleachers that you may hear from time to time. This is a 32-team tournament, 16 boys teams, 16 girls teams. And we're covering the girls first, so here's a list of pairings that are involved in this particular game between Lodi and Wausau East. They're in this group, Lodi, Portage, 1, Waupaca, and Wausau East. Out of that group, somebody will be in the semifinals eventually. In this game, Lodi is in the red in terms of the rock or stone, if you prefer. Wausau East in the yellow, and as you can see, that was the yellow delivery just past the hog line for Wausau East. And again, for the Lumberjacks, let's take a look at their foursome, their rink. Jill Gustesha was the last member of the team in 2005 for Wausau East that won a state championship. Her, Augusta Prain, Lee Presley, and Rebecca Wood were members of that rink. The rink today, Anna Sewell is the lead, Katie Perkins second, Gabby Sladek is the vice skip or third, and the skip for the Fisher rink of Wausau East is Ariana Fisher. And you can take a look from up above. We have a camera on both ends of the ice. One of 8 ice sheets out here that are being used for this tournament. And since the team is set up right now for a delivery by one of the Lumberjacks, we'll pick up the names as we go along here. This is following some strict protocol. This tournament this weekend, everyone here wears a mask with very few exceptions. There are a couple. And the spectators have to stay out of the clubhouse area. The locker rooms are for athletes and coaches only. The players themselves on the ice, they have to wear a mask, but they have a choice of the type that they wear. It doesn't have to be one of the two that are necessarily recommended. Again, they're all set here, giving instructions. And this is delivery by Lodi. Right now, if we, excuse me, if we look at the circle, we have the 4-foot, 8-foot, and 12-foot. And the button in the very middle, right now, the scoring would be 1 for Wausau East, but it's close enough almost to be a measurement. And there was a nice approach, a takeout. not off the circle completely, but a takeout. For Lodi. So now they have the one closest to the button. So right now they have the point on the rink. Circle. East to counter. East has the hammer. I think they probably used a coin toss. There are other ways to determine who gets the hammer the first end, but East has the hammer, and they are in yellow. And, well, it isn't even biting the end of the 12-foot, so it's not in scoring position at all in the back of the tee line. The tee line goes across the middle of the circle where they have the little tee, very center. So the back is to your right as we look at it. The rocks are coming from the left right now. The Lodi skip. Set with directions. And she heads back. She will be coming next to the hack. Right-handed, right foot on the hack. Still talking with a teammate about the strategy that they've set up. They're taking their time. There's no time limit at this level. High school curling, there's no time limit set on these girls as to how long they can take in conversation. Other more professional levels do have that. And here it's up to the skip and the thrower to decide if they want to use the sweeps. In this case, they are not, because the rock is a little bit on the light in terms of weight. Well, no, that's why. It went right through. So that rock is out of play. Anything out of the circle, out of play. Right now, Lodi has one on board. And it's East turn to counter. And it's wide open for them. No guards out in front. At least that we can see on the monitor, and that's all I have to look at when we describe the action here this weekend, but we'll do the best we can. It would appear, based on the strategy here, that they just want to get one away from that red rock, but in the circle. And that's the goal, and it's a little heavy. And now this rock closest still belongs to Lodi. East in the 8 with the Lodi rock, so there's nothing keeping a good curler right now from scoring, or at least setting up a chance to score, where they would have to be a takeout. The Lodi girl, like any sport, when you're throwing, delivering, tossing, whatever, there's a lot of it is muscle tone. You get used to it. That means those girls, in order to be really good at it, have to practice and practice and practice what they're doing in this tournament. And this one looks also heavy. Now, some of that might be the fact that they are trying to get used to the ice. because they have a line for the delivery or toss. They have the ice conditions, the amount of curl that could occur. They're all involved in the decisions that they make. And right now, it's wide open for Wausau East. As she awaits her teammate. And there's the release. You can see the girls have Wausau East jackets and pants on, part of their uniform. Katie Perkins, you can see her name on the back of hers. Okay, now East with a not a total takeout, but a bump and hold or a draw has 1 point on the ice. So now the counter for Lodi would be to do just what Wausau East did, but not take out that one they have on the 8-foot in the process. Lots of rocks, call them stones if you wish, in the vicinity, but not a lot of action around the 4-foot of the circle. There's the release. And the gal that delivered, she's able to follow and talk to her sweepers if she sees a need. Apparently now they're happy with what they see. And again, it's going to be a little heavy. And all she basically did on that one is move another rock out of play. Her own on our team, take out on her own. Now the girls are looking at who's got the stone closest to the button. And from our vantage point up here, it looks like Lodi has one. So the others don't count. It's just like darts. It doesn't matter where they are. The one closest to, and then next in line and so forth, are the counters. So right now, Wausau East has 1 point. It is something to talk about, though, because they have a lot of possibilities here if they want to do more. I mean, they have the one, they have the hammer. Looks like they're taking a look at sliding something in on that side. What they want to do here, since they have the one in the 4-foot, they want to put one off away from that rock so that Lodi will not be able to double hit. They would have to take a choice. But in this case, with everything behind the tee line, it's just a matter of Lodi just putting one in closer, that's all. You know, when they watch now they're sweeping a little bit. These girls are getting used to the ice right now, too, because if you're in a situation like this, you've got everything behind the tee line. Now they made a decision east to, and they swept just a little bit to get in closer. So they might have 2 points now instead of 1. And again, our vantage point from up above is not always exact. But as I look at it, I would say they do have the 2. as we move on. We're down to the skip now. As you can see, there are 2 left, 2 red left, and 2 yellow left. Or maybe 1 yellow left. The one on the right might be in the other ice sheet. So this could be the last delivery for Lodi and their skip, Aaron Atto. Again, it looks a little bit heavy. Now they wanted to get that other yellow one out of there because East has the hammer, and now East can actually pick up a good 3 here. All they have to do is double hit the 2 red ones that are close together. Not always easy to do, but it's makeable. And then they would have 3 points. Or 2 points, I should say. 2. Well, they're talking about it again. Lots of conversation goes on. This sport is the ultimate team sport. There's no coach down on the ice. They have 2 timeouts for this tournament. One called by the team, one by the team or the coach. That's it. The coach is not down there with them. They make the decisions. The teams determine the rules, basically, and how they're not the rules, but how they are kept. And they have a chance for a 3 here. And here's the delivery. This would give East a good start. As they're sweeping now because they need a little weight. They don't have enough weight. I think it's going to be okay, though, because they've got one in there. Okay, so East will get 2. 2 points for the Lumberjacks on this end. And we'll be taking a look at the monitor to get the scoring updated for you after that end. Wausau East and Lodi. 16 girls teams, 16 boys teams in this tournament. And the defending champions for the girls, Partyville. Wausau East had a run. They had a winner in 1980. The girls started in 1976. Okay, we continue on. Now the hammer goes back to Lodi, so this is the lead for Wausau East. And that would be Anna Sewell. Okay, this is the 3rd end now that we're into, so we're off to a good start for the Lumberjacks. Perkins and Sladek are the sweepers, and that is not uncommon for a team without the hammer. Put a guard out on top or put a guard out on front. That's pretty much a standard first rock at pretty much every level or any level. Wausau East won the state championship in 1980, and then they had a run from 97 to 99. Names are familiar. Alan Gullenberg, Katie Boehm, Rebecca Bergs, Jen Nowacek in 97. 98, Kate Bergander, Amy Gallenberg, Sarah Bergs, Becky Bergs, Sarah Siegel. 1999, the winner, Gallenberg, Bergs, Bergander, Siegel again. So a lot of them put in more than a year. Now you can see the first rock for Lodi, not what they wanted to do, really. Little, short. They wanted to put something in there to make it a challenge for East on each rock that they deliver. East again, 2003, 4, and 5 had a run of 3 championships in a row with Amy Schmidt, Erin Punzenberger, Chelsea Lamont, Katie Montgomery, Heather Klusendorf, Rebecca Wood, Megan Pond, part of that, Lee Presley, Jill Gusteshi. So that's the last for East. The last one they won the championship for the state was 2005. Lodi won once back in 1984. But Lodi is a curling town, so they're in this tournament every year. Wausau East girls, actually, they have 2 teams, a 1 and 2. They are in different brackets, pairings. And the pairings are set up by a draw. Okay, now we are in a situation where East has a rock in the 12-foot. And let's see what they decide to do. Lodi with their second stone. Allison Lochner, Emma Lochner, Jessica Brisky, and Aaron Etu are their 4 rink members. And this time they get it in. It's a point, but it's early. But it's a good position right down the middle for East now. They're going to try to put something in the 4-foot. And they have to work around that red stone on that line, but it shouldn't be that difficult a shot. I think Lodi so far in this game has struggled with the speed of the ice and when not to sweep. And before the weekend's over, they'll have that figured out. It takes time because it's all new to them, and this is the first time. Maybe some were in the tournament last year, but okay, Wausau East, you can see what they're doing again. They're trying to, but it's not working. Too heavy. They were trying to put a rock off to be a challenge for Lodi to go get it. And Lodi has the hammer in number 2, or 3, I'm sorry. So let's see what happens. Third end. Lodi the hammer because Lodi scored 1 in the first end. Wausau East 2 in the second end. There are 8 ends in a competition, and it's a tournament, so they have to win. Sometimes they'll play an extra end or 2. Not often in high school do we get a blank. That isn't typically the strategy at this level. That's pretty difficult to do. A blank means nobody scores. No rocks in the end in the 4, 8, or 12-foot circle. Okay. Well, we've had a couple come up short, a couple go long, still figuring out the ice and what to put on in terms of weight. The weight is a big part of getting it where you want it to get. Weight meaning the push off, when the curler's up by the hog line and releases. Well, that's not what That is not what East wanted to do. That was not intentional to put a red rock on the back iron. But it happened. So now Lodi with a hammer, and they have two on the circle, 2 points. They're in good shape for this third end. You can see in the background some of the folks here, a lot of families, friends, classmates, all wearing a mask. Okay. They decided to put in a little guard. So they've got a guard now for the one in the back end for sure, unless East tries to go for that one instead of the one out on the right side. But Lodi has put East on the defensive here in N3. And it makes it a little more difficult. Decision made. East wants to just put one in there. Try and force Lodi to have to take care of it, take it out. Well, they sweep and then they say, not, stop. Now they're sweeping some more. Yeah, they are having a little trouble with the two. Too light. Not heavy enough with that push. But it's so far it's a good one. 2-1 East. N3. Lodi wants that opening. Decision, and the vice skip will toss her first stone for Lodi. And the vice skip is Jessica Brisky. Again, if you know, the more focused you are and the more you do everything identical, like a tennis player or a golfer, or, you know, the same movements, the same motions, the same everything before you release the rock, combine that with a focus, you're going to do your best job. Well, it's going where they wanted it. And it's a bite, so it's a point if it's not taken out. So you can take a look at it. It's right now it's 2 points for Lodi, and we're down to the third curler. They're in a situation right now that rock in the back end. On the screen, the tee line is top to bottom. To the left of that is the back end. And that red one back there could play a role before this end is over. If one of these girls has a nice shot, you're going to hear their fans who are sitting right behind them, because we're we're up above all the action. We're not at ice level this year. Well, let's see if they get a little bump. And that was a nice one. Just enough of a bump. Not, just a bit. That was a little bit of what you'd call a raise. You put the one that's already on the ice in a different position with the throw, and it worked for East. So that quickly, with Lodi having 2 more throws and East 1, East has a point on board. Brisky set. The release. Her release is really early. The hog line is the line where they have to let it go before they cross that. She sends it out a little bit early, which is okay. I mean, that's her choice. This looks pretty good, too, if it has enough weight. If it doesn't just a draw. Well, yeah, it did. Now they're back to 1. What Lodi's trying to do, since they have the hammer, is score, excuse me, because if East scores when they don't have the hammer, they call it a steal, and it's something that really can turn these contests around, the scoring. In fact, you're kind of looking for at least one steal in there somewhere. But sometimes you will see teams that will give up a point just to get the hammer, especially toward the end of a game, an end. But now we have a pretty busy left side of that circle. Nothing in the 4-foot at this time. But they're going to try to East is going to try to put one off on the right side as close to the 4-foot as they can. They'd have to use a curl to do it. It is doable. But even if they put one over where she's marking with her broom the target, it becomes something that may or may not counter in the end. That's not where they want to go with it, but they're going to stay away from the busy part. The release by Gabby Sladek for East. Again, it's a matter of weight. And if they can get it in there, then they didn't. And that's not what you want. That's been a struggle for these girls in this N3 or N2 as well. Just right now, Lodi has 1 on the circle, 1 point, but they have the hammer. And this is the first toss for Aaron Atto, their skip. You can see the East girls standing behind the circle, watching, which is where they are supposed to be. Well, that was an, oh, wow, no. Lodi has 2 on the 8-foot 2-pointers. East may want to take out one of those. That's what they're talking about right now. Their strategy, seeing the situation, they could put some heavy weight on and go for, one of those rocks, but it's got to be in line. They have to make sure that they line it up correctly and do a takeout. That would be best. Adriana Fisher. Skip for East. Rink. Foursome. They're still talking about it. The other option is to go between those 2 red in the 8-foot and put it in closer to the circle. But if they hit and roll, it accomplishes a little more. So we shall see. She gets set up to deliver. Well, again, there's no time limit. So Adriana's making sure this is her last stone, that she leaves Lodi having to be defensive instead of having things open for them to score more. Big thing here is to have enough weight to do some damage. She might bump. No, she got by. So that's going to be too hard. Oh, boy. Well, right now, Lodi has 2 points, and they have 1 rock to put in there any place and make it a threesome. Steal of 3. East leading 2-1 in N3. High school play 8 ends. This curling activity program is not affiliated with the WIAA. So the guidelines for this tournament are set up by the State Curling Association. That's what they follow. And again, here's the situation too, where Aaron wants to put enough weight on to get into the middle of the circle. She's trying to do the out curl there. And they get 3. They get 3. 3 points for Lodi in end 3. And now they lead 4-2 over Wausau East. This tournament is set up where they have 16 teams for the girls, 16 for the boys. They have 4 brackets of 4 teams each. There are some teams that have, or schools that have 2 teams out here, Wausau East, Wausau West. They have 2 teams for Portage. The same thing with boys. There are a couple of them that have 2 teams. I think West has 2, maybe Everest. And the semifinal is tomorrow afternoon. And the semifinal takes the top 4 bracket winners. They do not do other formats. That's it. And since now East has the hammer, Lodi has the first toss, and this is Allison Lochner, their lead. Her release. She doesn't have a curl on this really. It's more of a straight. And again, since they don't have the hammer, they may try to set up a guard out on top. They got across the lower hog line. Well, it sets up off on the side a little bit, but not bad. This is the lead now for East. Anna Sewell. Now she is a southpaw, left-handed release. And she is using the hack on the other side. Well, she chose to stay back and watch as they are doing the sweep. Yeah, that may come out okay eventually, but right now that's not what they wanted to do. Again, they want to put it in the circle. They have the hammer. The idea is to make the shots, put your other team on the defensive so they can't score as easily. If it's open, it's open. That's a straight line throw, pretty much, curling a little bit to the middle. But it's going to be their best shot of the afternoon now, or morning, or whatever it is right now, afternoon. That's about as good as any of them have had putting it in 4 foot so far. But as they go along and they get more used to the ice, which is a big factor, and they can do a better job of placement, position. Second shot for Sewell. And she curls it enough to move the Lodi rock, but not a takeout. And because of the speed, her rock just ended up out of the circle completely. So one thing she did accomplish, and that was to get it out of the 4 foot. But the original goal was to stay there to have a hit and roll. But she didn't get enough of the rock to do that. Now this is the second for Lodi, Emma Lochner. And they're satisfied that she's got the weight on this one till now. It's got a little curl on it. In turn. Well, East back to their third rock. Katie Perkins' turn now, their second. So far, they don't have anything yellow in the circle. When you look at the score board in the back there, you can only see the East score. And they trail 4-2. You can't see the red up above. That would indicate the 4. Well, I don't know. Again, they're short. Last time they were long, so they're still struggling with that weight issue. There are times when these teams, when they play, somebody's off, some team is off or not as competitive, where they will end the game early, because in curling there comes a time when it's impossible to win. You're so far behind that you don't have enough rocks that could get in the circle, or probability of it, and that happens at all levels. Another nice rock for Lodi. Lodi seems to be settling down here, number 4. I think they gained a lot of confidence in scoring 3 in number 3 and have carried it over to number 4 now, because they've put a couple of them in the 4-foot. And East is just struggling with weight or distance. Here's Katie's second. This might be okay. There's a takeout. That was nice. She's got to feel good about that one. That was their best shot that we've seen here. And right now, East has the point, and they have the hammer. So a change in momentum for Katie Perkins. Now Lodi goes to Jessica Brisky. After the discussion, Katie, right-handed, right as uses the left hack. Jessica, Jessica, I should say. And she's got plenty of weight. It seems they're really pushing. Not going to be bad. Nice shot. Well, they're back to... That's how quickly it can turn. If you do a nice job, and these girls are getting better at it, you can turn things around in a hurry. Right now, it's 2 points. Again, East with nothing in the circle. Okay, now their job is to counter. Just take that one out. Easier said than done. Well, Gabby with a release. And they just need weight here, and they need to be on target with their line. Looks like they have both. Let's see. Not quite. Not quite. That one didn't quite hit square enough to stop her rock from rolling off. It had the weight, but not the accuracy. But you're hitting a round object, and so you never know. It has to be precise sometimes to do what they want it to do. Second one coming up now for Jessica Brisky. Emma and Allison Lochner are the two girls doing the sweeping. My guess is they're sisters, but could be cousins. Could be neither. But they are busy. There's a term I can use here, and I don't remember what it is, for when they sweep heavy like that. And that's not a bad shot, because it's like guarding from the 4-foot circle. So now East, with this shot, we'll have to get between those 2 or 3, among those 3 out on top. Makes it a little more of a challenge. Can be done. Gabby's second shot. Well, working hard, but it doesn't have enough weight to get to the center. It may have enough weight to get to the 12-foot, but nope. Again, the weight issue. I keep saying that, but that's what it is. Now, Lodi with the 2 points in the back, it's wide open for them on that left side where they're working the mark now for a target. Wide open. And East better counter this end or they're in trouble. Lodi, if they steal, again, they got 3 on the last end. They get another 2 or 3 this end. They're in total control. Well, no harm done. They just have a guard. East has their own guard there. They may want to raise that one they're looking at right now outside of the circle and see if they can bump and roll rather than just go to that rock and stop. You'd have to have the perfect weight though for that, I think, is to get 2 in there. But they should be able to get 1 in. It's wide open. And they have the hammer, so they've got one more throw coming. There you can see the girls from Lodi talking about things in the background there. They have a good time. This curling is a great sport at all levels and all ages. And it's a great learning experience for a lot of high school students because it's all based on teamwork and cooperation and give and take, decisions. No one's down there telling them what to do. There's no referee down on the ice. There is someone in charge down there, but they're only called upon if needed. This is a big release for East, very important. Got to put Lodi on the defensive here. Well, it's got to hit the right rock. And it doesn't. So they still have an opportunity because it's wide open, as you can see. Lodi's going to try and get something in there in the 4 foot. And potentially they could have 3 more points. And if you're up 7-2, that's a huge advantage. Aaron Atu with Jessica Brisky now the third being the vice skip, handling the ice instructions. They may be trying to raise that red one in and follow up and then have 4 in there. In the circle. Well, see if they can get there. They might get there with at least that 1. Yeah, it's a bite. I don't think the other one is, but they've got at least 3 and perhaps 4 points right there. However, that being said, all East has to do is put a rock in the middle somewhere among all those, and they get the point. So, not to put any pressure on Adriana Fisher, but this is a turn of losing 4 to gaining 1. Or maybe 4. For sure 3. And it doesn't matter which side she goes on. I mean, probably if you look at it, the upper left coming down the left side is easier. And that's where they're going to try to go, as you see where they're taking a look at the location, strategy. Again, all they have to do is put it in there. The difference of 5 points. Key moment of this game right now. Okay. Skip Fisher, Adriana Fisher. Typically, the skip has had the most experience. Not necessarily the best curler. Each curler has their strengths and weaknesses, in some respects. So, that. Okay. Here we go. She's wiping her brow because of the speed factor. That's not going where she wants it to at all. Not at all. Wow. Now they have to agree on if that's 3 or 4. If not, they'll take out the measure. I think they said 3 on that. We'll check. So that would make it 7-2. Lodi scored 1 in the first end. East countered 2 in the second. Lodi had 3 in the third. Now 3 more in the fourth. So 7-2 is what I count. I don't think that one was a bite to the circle. All it has to do is, you look down at it and covers part of the circle. I don't think it did. And the girls made the decision themselves, so I'm thinking that they let it go at 7-2. We will have a boys matchup coming up next. And then finishing out with the girls. At 6 o'clock with DC Harvest and Stevens Point. As we cover 3 games each day. During this tournament. There's a discussion down on the ice. East is deciding, well, they have a timeout is what they have. Their coach is down there talking to them during this timeout. And they're down 7-2. So they, it's like, okay, let's go one more, try one more, maybe try 2, see what happens. They get a minute timeout, 2 per game. Most games get 1, but they're in a more of a learning experience oriented situation in high school. So the girls can call 1, and the girls or the coach can call 1. The boys, we're going to pick up next Everest and West, and then West and East. Later, that'll be tomorrow morning. So, lots of curling coming out of probably the best facility in the state of Wisconsin. The Wausau Curling Club. Been around now for a number of years, and believe me, this is a beautiful place, not only to curl, but to be a spectator or be involved in any other way. And again, a lot of that is voluntary work. They have a list in the hallway posted of all the volunteers that come in and work here, whether it be the cafeteria, the ice, whatever the case might be. Well, they're going to go on. East will have the hammer for end number 5 coming up. They missed 2 ends now where they had the opportunity. They could have had the score 7-2 instead of the reverse. But it didn't happen. Here's the lead for Allison Lochner as we start end number 5. Out of 8 total. East with the hammer. Anna Sewell will be tossing first. Time for East to get some points. Make it a contest. Their first rock. Coming up a little short. That's been the story for them. Neither one in the 12-foot circle. Second one for Allison Lochner. Their lead. And it's going to be a good one. Got a bit of a 4-foot. One Anna Sewell now. See how she responds. East with the uniforms, basically. Lodi with a lead here so far. She's lining it up in her mind, and she uses a anchor with the other hand, her right hand. She's a lefty, and she's got a outer curl going off the throw. Well, that's probably one of their better shots of the match so far. A little bit short, so it's still 1 point for Lodi, but at least she's in there where it can be a challenge for Lodi to counter. Lodi curling team for a long time. Long time. It goes back. Poinette, Partyville, Portage, Lodi. Those are curling towns. Medford, Wausau. Wausau won the boys' championship on the first state tournament back in 1959 with John Coleman, John Forrester, Leif Salveson, and Gerald Oshansky. That was the boys' start back in 1959. Third shot for Lodi. Just trying to put it in there. And it goes through. A little too much weight on that one. So that helps East out. They have the hammer and you got one less rock to deal with. Yeah, you look at the boys' champions back to 1959. Back in 1967, I have a sibling who was the coach for the curling team that won the championship, state championship, 1967. Medford won 68, 70. I mean, they were, but there weren't as many teams either. I mean, you take a look at back in the beginning, Portage, Waupaca, Lodi, Poinet, Partyville. That's it. Medford. West didn't really get going until any kind of Wausau West. Their first championship was in 1978. Wausau Senior High is the one that won in 1959. One high school in Wausau in those days. Back to the action on the ice. Second curler for East, Katie Perkins. Now back to Lodi. Perkins didn't get it on the spot, so now it's Lodi. This is Allison Lochner's second. And let's see what they do with it. They're going to have a bump and roll. And hasn't changed the scoring. Still 1 point for Lodi on the ice. They just want something in the 4-foot circle and separate from the other two red, so that East can't counter by getting two out with one rock. In the background, we can hear the directions from the tournament coordinator. And that one just never got there. So East, again, I mean, they have the hammer, but they're not taking advantage of it at this point. So we're halfway through N5. 4 more rocks for the two teams. So we go to the third for Lodi, Jessica Brisky. In this draw pairing, Lodi Portage won. Portage has 2 girls teams in the tournament. Waupaca and East are the foursome. So they will play like a round robin. In other words, East will play Waupaca, Portage, and Lodi. And the others will do the same. They have 3 games against the same competition, and then the one with the most or the best record, one-loss record, reps in the semifinals, and then they'll go then to the finals. So you have 4 in the semis and the 2 finals. Well, let's see what the situation is now. Still the 1 for Lodi. So let's see if East can turn this thing around. They have the opportunity. It's not like they haven't had the opportunity. They just haven't had the key shots yet. Key tosses. This is Gabby Sladek. It would be better for East to go long now, at this stage in this game, than, short. Because short is taking their own shots away. Well, that's not what happened. All it takes sometimes in a game like this, the way things are going, for one of the teams to have one player get hot or know what's going on in terms of, weight and distance and curl and everything else, to figure it out. That can make a big difference because not a lot of these girls are putting it where they want to yet. Second one coming for Brisky, Jessica Brisky. She has a nice release, nice focus, nice smooth release that she's developed. And she puts it in there. But not a counter yet. But it adds to the pressure for Wausau East. They still have that one, in fact, looking at it from above, and that's a view we have right now, it looks like Lodi's red is closer to the button than East yellow. But that can be a little misleading from up above because the angle is not 100% down to the tee. But it's a handy, more than handy, it's almost a must to have this camera if you're watching like on a monitor, on TV, in the building as a spectator. It adds a lot. Last shot for Sladek. And she's going to go all the way through. Okay. Too hard. Too much weight. But we still have 2 rocks each. Anything can happen. Aaron Atto, the skip for Lodi, where they're first coming up. We haven't seen, I've used the word draw much here in this competition. Haven't seen it maybe once or twice. Lodi looking to maybe salt this one away. Well, he still has that one. Lodi still has 1 point. Tell you what, if they score another 3 or 4, it's all over but the shouting. And you don't have the shouting in curling. When that kind of thing happens, it's fist bumps or congratulations. And They can't use, I mean, the players can still go in the clubhouse, and a lot of times these players will compete on the ice and they will head together, sit around one of those tables, and chat. It's very healthy. But here the protocol, the COVID protocol is very clear about what is expected from everybody that comes in the door. Adriana Fisher, her first of two. Coming off the left hack. DC Everest, Wausau West, Wausau East all use this curling club for practice. It's part of, their home, really. Home ice, in a way. This might be her best of the day so far. And I think it is. I think that the point goes to East right now. Boy, that's critical for them. And, of course, what are you going to do if you're Lodi? You're going to take it out. Just peel it off. Because this is their last shot. Skip Aaron at toe. Talking it over. It looks to me like they're trying to figure out a way to get more. Not just take her out, but get more. Which would be a bump and run or roll, as they prefer in curling. See what she does. Critical moment. Every end has had one of those critical moments. She's asked to hit it a little more push than that. And you know what? Now, East has one. They can get as many as three, but they have to be careful. And that could change things considerably here, as we're in the fifth end, which is, out of 8, right in the middle. In that situation, they're taking a look at it, and that's what they're talking about. They want to get that red out of there and stay. Okay? They want to raise the red out and stay. So if you have too much weight, it's, you have to have the right amount of weight to hit that rock so that your yellow stays. They may be trying to, I don't know. But they have a chance for 3. And this could mean a new game if they can do it. Decision made. As Adriana Fisher slides to us. On their customized shoes for curling. This shot could turn this thing right around and make it very competitive. And what they certainly don't want to do is knock one of their own out of there. That would be disaster. Not much you can do. You just watch it go down the rink, the ice, and hope for the best. Well, no. Nope. So it's 1 for East, I would say. One for East. So now, after 5, it's 7-3. 3 times in a row, the Lumberjack girls had an opportunity to outscore Lodi. They had the hammer and did not take advantage of it. They know that. They're trying their best. But it can be a little frustrating. However, with 3 ends to go and down by 4, they have a chance yet because they've been putting themselves, or Lodi's been helping them, get in situations where they can score points. All they have to do is convert. So now we start again with N6. And this time, Lodi has the hammer. So East, Anna Thule with the first toss. See if she can get it in the 12-foot. Well, that's like a guard, I guess, for her. Allison Lochner. For Lodi. The skip. They're not going to do any sweeping. They want it. They're going to put it in there, yes. It'll be in there. So now East Anna Sewell with the counter. Her second shot. Seems like she has a little more weight push on this one. Which might be too much. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, she was trying to adjust, but just a little too much. Now we're back to Lodi. Second shot. East with a hammer after scoring 1. Allison Lochner, the last two ends, has done a nice job with that second toss. She has done a nice job with that second toss, and that really helps the team overall. There, she put it behind the guard. There's Katie Perkins. The second. Although Allison didn't get it in the circle. Well, if there's enough of a run, a bump and roll, but there wasn't. So basically that's a guard. So what we're doing, I remember back in N2, everything was to the back of the 12-foot circle. Here, everything's out on top. Makes it a different game, different challenge. This is Emma Lochner now. A lot of curling families. You go through winning teams rosters, which I have for both boys and girls going back to the beginning. A lot of rosters here today and tomorrow. Families are familiar. You remember the families from prior years, siblings, parents, probably today maybe even a grandparent in there somewhere. Although, like just about every sport in high school level, the girls didn't get going with them until the 1970s. They were not, they might have had a club sport, but it was more GAA kind of stuff. Now, she gives it enough bump. Nope, just a little bit off. A little bit more weight. This end 6 is moving along a little faster. Because I think part of it is Lodi, they don't have to discuss a lot right now. They just know what they have to do. They just have to make it difficult for East. And they know they have the hammer right now. With a 4-point lead and 3 ends to get through. Not that it couldn't be done for East. Well, that's a nice guard. Well, she opened up a little bit of a porch there, but probably not. At this level, it'd be very difficult. Still one on the circle, and that happens to be Lodi. If things don't change for Wausau East, we're going to be done after 7 here. They need to get something out of this one to be competitive, to have any kind of momentum, any kind of chance. Well, there was a roll out. Was meant to be a little softer, do the job, and too heavy. Well, for Lodi, just a minute. I'll put it on the 4-foot. That's what they want to do. Put it on the 4-foot. Put it in the middle there somewhere. Basically, for Jessica, that's what she needs to do. Jessica Brisky, their third. She does release it way before the hog line. She doesn't want to, and that's something too. The girls on the ice have to, there's no a lot of places they will have some electronic, like a track meet or something where they can check things. But here again, it's up to them to be honest. 8-3. I was saying 7. It's 8-3. Gabby Sladek. With the release. Boy, it's just not happening. It's not happening. They had one in there that was a raise, and it was too heavy. So it knocked the other stone out of the circle and out of play. The other ones in this end have been not heavy enough to get to the circle, but it's still just one. But Lodi has the hammer, so East is in trouble. Second for Brisky. Second toss. I think this is going to be well placed. Okay. Now they've got 2-zip. East may have to do something to move on to number 7, actually. They only have 4 stones. That's all you can score. In an end is 4. And they're down 5. But they have 2 ends they can score. But can you score 7 or 8? Skip, Adriana Fisher. Her first of 2 here. Now that one has more weight than a lot of them that I've seen go down the ice sheet. But it didn't do what they wanted it to. All it did is roll off. Not off the 12-foot, but out of scoring. She tried to take out and roll, but didn't work. First shot for Atto. Okay. She has another one coming yet, so
Adriana Fisher with a challenge. A real challenge as she comes down and sets up. You can see she's trying to, she's doing it. She's doing the same thing with the setup, the line, how she comes down to the rock, her release. All of that is memory. Muscle memory is the release of the rock, how much, and so far today, the East girls have struggled with that. They have struggled. So Lodi can put this one away right now. They can put it away. All they have to do is put another red one in there, and they can call it a match, their game. They may not. I mean, it's up to East to decide that. But if they're down 11-3 with two ends, East would have to have 4 rocks, 2 ends in a row. Not going to happen. But it's up to the team mathematically, if they feel it's feasible. Well, it's not going to be. Even if she doesn't score one with this rock, it's still probably not feasible. But East has 2 more games coming up to make up for it. Well, there it is. 2 points for Lodi. Let's see what they decide to do. (10-3) now. After 6 ends. Let's see if we can keep an eye on them and see what they decide to do. Oh, okay. They're not mathematically out, so they're going to keep going. East has the hammer. And leading off for Lodi, Allison Lochner. Emma Lochner, the second on deck. One thing we don't have here this weekend for the state tournament that we've had in the past, now we did not do the last couple of years because of the COVID situation, broadcast this for Wausau Area Access Media, but we were able to have audio on the ice, and we don't have that this time around. But we do have a little bit of murmur and comments and claps from the stands on occasion, because that's down below. As you might hear some right now, which means somebody won somewhere on the 8 sheets that are covered or used. Now here's the situation. If East, they're trailing by 7, okay? If they get in a situation where they can't score at least 3 points, in other words, have their 3 rocks in scoring position, it's over for them. And then the game's over. So they have to get off to a great start. in order to continue delivering the rock on the ice. And interestingly enough, and reasonably enough, what Lodi's doing is they're setting up guards out on top. So East can't do that. So they are following the strategy that makes sense. You know, East, they can score 8. You know, I've been saying 4. Well, yes, they can score 8. But when I've been saying the 4, it's getting to a situation on the ice where in that particular end, they are down to that. Yeah, they could score all 8. I think it happened twice in the history of curling, but, you know, they can do it. It probably happened more than that. Well, each girl, 2 times 4 is 8, but again, when I'm mentioning that, it's like coming up after they get to the thirds, or the vice skips. And it hasn't happened yet. This is the first toss for Emma Lochner, and she does a takeout. So they have one in there now after a nice takeout. Haven't seen a lot of those today. So now we go to the team with a hammer. And Katie Perkins. A draw out there doesn't do any good. Doesn't do any good. So it's back to Emma Lochner. East will next get on the ice against Portage later this afternoon. A late afternoon game, 6 o'clock, early evening, whatever. Lodi will take on Waupaca. And then tomorrow they have one game to round out their 3 before the semifinals. And Lodi is shutting him out, putting him away on this one. Yeah, looking at the ice again, you know, I talk about 4-8. They're down to X number of rocks, and they have 1 on the ice, and they have no points right now, being East. We're down to the thirds now. So it's Jessica Brisky. 10-3 Lodi. Big, 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 big lead in N7. Seventh end, whichever you prefer. Notice on the monitor down in the right-hand corner, the hammer's on Wausau East. That's where it belongs. They've had it most of this game, which is not a good sign for the results. Yeah, Lodi just comfortable and happy and contented, putting another guard out there, out on top. Just making it more and more and more difficult for Wausau East to score points, which they need desperately. And the one thing for East right now, don't come up short. Don't come up short. If you're going to go through, okay, go through. If you're going to knock your own out, okay, fine, but don't come up short. You need them at circle level in play. Gabby Sladek, our first toss. Well, she's not going to come up short, but the result is the same. The result is the same. It was a peel takeout, pretty much. At least part of it. Okay. Every time somebody tosses now for East, and it's not in the score, it's not in play to score, gets them closer to the end. Of course, they know that. So does Lodi. Lodi's done a nice job on this one, setting up guards out on top, so it doesn't make it that easy for them. Here's another example right here. Just get it across the hog line and you've done your job. And they do. They do just that. What East needs now is a peel and take out that removes both stones there. That is what they need. And didn't get. They did take out a guard, so they do have access now to those two red ones. But we go to the skips. First, Aaron Atto, Attoe, hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Pretty simple, just put it in there. Not easy, but I mean, the thought, the process, that's another story. Well, they're just going to be content to just set up another guard. And certainly there's nothing wrong with that. Well, Wausau East, Adriana Fisher, we're looking for a miracle here, girl. If you're a member of the East team, rink. Because you're down to 6 stones. And you're down by 7. And the end pair of end 6. Or 7. Beg your pardon. Okay. See, if you watched her now, she's got that down, that preparation focus, what she does before she delivers. Well, this one has enough weight on it, it'll do something. It'll take one out. So it's a takeout. And a draw. So now Lodi's down to 1 point here. East could pick up as many as 3, which would, possibly move them on to number 8 end. There'd be a much better chance if they can do that. Come away with 3 here. They've had opportunities like this though for, I would say 4 of the last 5 ends that we've covered. Starting with number 3. They got 2 points in number 2, end 2, and that, and then one other one. This is the last rock for Lodi, and there's another guard, so makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Not hard to figure out what they have to do on this one. They have to take out the red with the yellow that's in the 12-foot next to it, and then stay put with the shot rock. Otherwise, if they don't do that, they would be down 8 with 1 end to go and 8 rocks to throw. In the sports world today, they do so much of this, percentage that. 8 out of 8, I don't think that's even on the board. Okay. One chance, and that's got to get through there. That's not going to. It is not going to, so that's 1 more point for Lodi. And that's it. The handshake. As Lodi defeats the Wausau East Curling Rink by a final of 11-3. The only time East led was after end 2 when they scored a couple. And then Lodi came back with 7 in 3 and 4, took control and coasted to a 7-end 11-3 victory over the Wausau East Lumberjacks. So East still has 2 more
games coming up in their round robin with Lodi and Waupaca and Portage. But now it's tough because you only have 3 games. So you lose one. If you want to have any hope, you're going to have to win the next 2. So, for Chris Berge with all the technical aspects of things, and I'm George Hirsch, we hope you enjoyed our WAAM Media High School State Curling Championships from Wausau. Till next time, take care.